My name is Mary Collins, and the day my family abandoned me is still etched into my memory. I was 14, fresh out of middle school, and when I walked through our front door, I expected to hear my mom in the kitchen or my dad in his study. But the house was silent, an unsettling kind of silence. Furniture was missing, the floors were bare, and the rooms felt cold and empty. I called out, "Mom? Dad?" But my voice just echoed back. After a few minutes of trying to figure out what was happening, I dialed my mom's phone. To my shock, she picked up, but her tone was different. Distant, cold, as if she were speaking to a stranger. She casually explained that they'd moved to California for my sister Emily's modeling career, leaving me behind. They didn't apologize or explain further. They just laughed, as if it were a joke, and hung up. For the first time in my life, I felt truly alone. I stared at the phone in disbelief, waiting for it to ring again, hoping they'd say it was all a mistake. But the silence stretched on, growing thicker with every passing second. In the end, the only people I could turn to were my grandparents. Although I hadn't seen them in years, my mother had always said they were difficult people. They opened their arms to me immediately. That night, my grandpa picked me up, and I could barely hold back the tears as he hugged me tightly. "You're safe with us now, Mary," he said gently, his voice full of warmth. For the first time in a long while, I felt a hint of security. It was bittersweet, though. I wondered if my parents would ever regret what they'd done, or if I was just a chapter they'd happily closed. Life with my grandparents was different. Quieter, calmer, but full of love. They didn't have much money, but they made up for it with kindness and patience. They taught me the simple joys of gardening, cooking, and most importantly, sewing. My grandmother would sit me down with old clothes she wanted to mend, showing me how a simple stitch could bring fabric back to life. "It's not just about fixing things, Mary," she'd say, guiding my hands. "It's about taking care of what you have." Each stitch felt like I was piecing myself back together. Sewing became my escape and my solace, something to focus on when the pain of abandonment crept in. I didn't realize it at the time, but those quiet afternoons spent mending clothes would later become the foundation of my life. By the time I was 16, I'd become skilled enough to design my own pieces. My grandma encouraged me to experiment, and my grandpa proudly wore a shirt I'd sewn him, even if it was far from perfect. Creating something beautiful from scraps felt empowering. It was like defying my family's view of me as insignificant. In my grandparents' eyes, I was enough. They saw potential where my parents had seen failure. With their support, I began dreaming of creating a brand that focused on clothes that were not just stylish but accessible, something anyone could wear with pride. My grandparents' belief in me ignited a spark I hadn't felt before, and from that spark, my ambition grew. It felt like I was finally stepping into the light, out of the shadow my family had left me in. But as I pursued my passion, memories of my family continued to haunt me. I'd often wonder what they were doing, if they thought about me, or if they ever felt a shred of guilt for abandoning me. At night, my mind would replay old conversations. My mother's cold dismissals, Emily's mocking smiles, my father's indifference. Each memory stung, but it also fueled me. I wanted to prove to them that I was worth something, that I could succeed without them. My grandparents never spoke badly of my parents, even though I knew they resented them for what they'd done to me. Their silence on the matter was comforting in its own way. They didn't need to say anything because their love and support spoke louder than words. Slowly, I stopped seeking approval from my family and started seeking approval from myself. By 20, I had launched my own clothing line, an inclusive brand that offered style without compromise. My designs focused on comfort, elegance, and accessibility, a blend of high fashion and practicality. Every piece I created was a testament to my journey, stitched with the determination that had kept me going through the toughest times. And as my brand grew, so did my confidence. Orders poured in, and I began to make a name for myself in the fashion world. For the first time, I felt like I had a purpose. My brand wasn't just clothing, it was a statement, a declaration of independence from the past that had tried to break me. My grandparents watched proudly as I expanded, their unwavering support still my anchor. Then, just as I was reaching new heights at 27, my family resurfaced. One morning, as I was heading into the office, my assistant informed me that some unexpected visitors were waiting for me. I knew before she even said it. There, standing in the lobby of my company, were my parents and Emily. My mother's face lit up as she saw me, and she held out her arms as if expecting a warm reunion. Emily stood beside her, looking as composed and beautiful as always, but something was off in her eyes. Something hollow, almost desperate. My father shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting around the room as if searching for something he'd lost. I stood frozen for a moment, processing the absurdity of the situation. They had come back, but I could see in their eyes it wasn't for me. It was for what I'd achieved. My mother wasted no time, launching into compliments and flattery as if the past 13 years had been nothing. "Mary, it's so wonderful to see you. We saw your interview on TV. Your company is amazing. We're so proud of you." She gestured towards Emily and my father, who nodded along, but their smiles didn't reach their eyes. I could feel the desperation radiating from them, a need masked as admiration. My mother continued, "We thought it'd be nice to reconnect, you know, as a family." The word family felt foreign on her lips, almost mocking. I clenched my fists, anger bubbling beneath the surface. Where was this family when I'd needed them? Where were they when I was left on a doorstep, clinging to my grandparents, wondering why I wasn't enough? The urge to throw them out was strong, but I held back, maintaining a composed facade. "Reconnect?" I echoed, my voice cold. "After all this time?" My mother's smile faltered for a second, but she quickly recovered, nodding eagerly. "Yes, we missed you, Mary. And, well, things have been tough for us lately. Emily hasn't been able to secure any good modeling jobs, and, well, we thought you might be able to help." The words were like a slap, confirming what I'd suspected. They were here for money, not to make amends. Emily remained silent, her gaze fixed on the floor, and my father simply looked away, unable to meet my eyes. The roles were reversed now. I was the successful one, the one with the power, and they were the ones in need. I took a deep breath, suppressing the hurt that threatened to spill over. "Help?" I said slowly, my voice sharp. "You want my help now? After you abandoned me?" My mother's smile wavered, and she tried to reach for my hand, her voice softening. "Mary, let's not dwell on the past. We're family, and families should stick together. Isn't that what you always wanted?" The audacity of her words stung. She was trying to rewrite history, to twist my pain into something trivial. I pulled my hand back, the anger boiling over. "You left me," I said firmly. "You chose Emily and walked away. Now, after all these years, you show up and expect me to forget everything?" Emily finally looked up, her face twisting with frustration. "We didn't leave you, Mary. You were fine with Grandma and Grandpa. You didn't need us." Her words were empty, a feeble attempt to justify their actions. My mother nodded along, her smile frozen, as if she could convince me through sheer persistence. But I was no longer that scared 14-year-old girl. I had built myself up from the ground, without them, and I wasn't about to let them tear me down again. My voice was calm as I replied, "I needed a family." But what I got was abandonment and silence. "You don't get to pretend you were there for me." Their faces fell as the reality of my words sank in. My father, who had stayed silent this whole time, finally spoke up, his voice weak. "Mary, I didn't want to leave you. I was afraid. Your mother and Emily needed me. I thought you'd be fine with your grandparents." His excuses were hollow, and his words only deepened my resentment. He'd been a bystander in his own daughter's life, too passive to fight for me. I looked at him, searching for any hint of remorse, but all I saw was regret for the consequences, not his actions. I shook my head, my resolve hardening. "You don't get to play the victim," I said, my voice steady. "You left me, all of you, and now you come back, expecting forgiveness because you're struggling?" My mother's face twisted in desperation, her carefully constructed mask slipping. "Please, Mary. We're family. Just a little support, that's all we need." Her words fell flat, a weak attempt to tug at my heartstrings. But the years of silence, the years of being left behind, had left scars that her pleas couldn't heal. The family she spoke of was a fantasy, a fabrication to suit their needs. My grandparents had taught me that love wasn't something to be manipulated. It was given freely, without expectation of return. My parents had walked away from that lesson, but I hadn't. My voice softened, but my words were firm. My grandparents are my real family. They raised me, supported me, and loved me when you wouldn't. I don't owe you anything. My mother's face turned pale, her desperation giving way to bitterness. Emily crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing as she muttered something under her breath, too quiet for me to hear. But her silence spoke louder than any words. As they left, defeated and resentful, I felt a weight lift from my chest. I hadn't just confronted them. I'd closed a chapter of my life that had haunted me for years. My grandparents, my work, my self-worth, those were my family now. I no longer needed validation from people who couldn't see my value. For the first time, I felt free, unburdened by the past that had once overshadowed me. I had proven to myself that I was enough, that I could succeed without the approval of those who had abandoned me. And as I watched them walk away, I knew they were the ones who had lost something, not me.